top 5. So here's a tweet from earlier today, following up yesterday evening when it appeared as if all reports saying that ESPN no longer is involved in any talks with the Big Ten. ESPN has pulled out of the Big Ten media rights negotiations, ending one of the longest sports media relationships in the business, saying no to the conference's final offer, 7 years, $380 million per year package. And then John eventually wrote a story about this, and of course there has been numerous reaction to it as well. So what does this mean? It means ESPN has money to spend, and they need to fill some programming. What does it mean? The Big Ten is doing something unique. And what it means in the end, I don't know. Brett McMurphy, Big Ten finalizing media rights with Fox Sports, CBS, and NBC, according to the Action Network, but also, again, with John Arand. And unless there's a last-minute change, and there won't be, 40 years the Big Ten and ESPN with basketball and football is over. That is from Brett McMurphy. I've seen Nicole Auerbach, Ross Dellinger, many others respond to it as well. Paul, what does it mean?
Well, what the Big Ten is doing is pretty brilliant, because on Sundays, when you watch television, when you watch football on Sundays, what channels do you watch football on?
On Sundays.
On Sundays.
There's 2. Well, there's Sunday 3. Night, there's 3 at night because of the NBC game, football game in America. Yeah.
What the Big Ten is doing is they're mirroring the NFL in that you can watch the Big Ten on CBS, you can watch the Big Ten on NBC, and you can watch the Big Ten on Fox, which will be all across. So Saturdays, if you're a Big Ten fan, will look like Sundays if you're an NFL fan, overlapping. I think that's really good. We can get into the sales job that they have done on their overall conference later on in the show, but this is a pretty interesting and aggressive TV deal. And to cut out the worldwide leader in sports is really interesting, considering that's a very long relationship. But when ESPN doubled down in the SEC and got that window away from CBS and became exclusive to that, I'm not surprised that Fox and the Big Ten said, well, what can we do to be different and set ourselves apart? They've certainly done that here, and they're going to get a ton of money from it, over $1 billion. It's going to be huge for the conference, and $350 million or $80 million, whatever it is, from CBS for that 3:30 window. And now they're going to get to, and the SEC in no small part got big because of the 3:30 window on CBS. That's the best window. We saw the thing, or the 7 o'clock, but that's the second best window. And the Big Ten could get bigger and more popular because of that, because as we've seen, whatever people have done it, whether it's Tony or Sam or whoever has put us TV numbers up, it's about the network and the time and where they fall that really does things, and that CBS 3:30 window is huge.
Yeah, there's still some blanks that need to be filled in for me to have like some concrete opinion on this. I mean, the Big Ten striking it rich is not a surprise. That's been expected. That's been talked about for weeks on end now. It's just a matter of when we're actually going to know what the real deal is. And we're not mentioning the fact that there's going to be a streaming partner. Peacock could very well have its own games in addition to all the other avenues that you mentioned, and does not exclude the fact that Amazon or Apple, whoever wants to get involved, whoever might be involved as far as a streaming partner as well. So, yeah, I don't think we've seen the dust settle on this Big Ten deal just yet. I think based on Nicole Auerbach in particular, a tweet I saw from her earlier, as well as a couple of others, the Big Ten is definitely sending some feelers out through the media to throw some stuff out there in terms of, hey, let's just casually throw this bomb out there.
Yeah.
Exactly. Nicole Auerbach did that like 2 hours ago with the whole I had to pull the tweet back up, but it was very clearly to me like I think somebody probably said, hey, would you just throw this out there?
I'll say this, and yesterday afternoon she kind of threw something out that led to what then happened with the story involving ESPN.
Yeah, and so there's that to me was very obvious. I mean, no disrespect. I mean, that's not disrespectful to say, and she's doing her job, but she threw out a tweet about 2 hours ago. Does the Big Ten look further into the possibility of a Western wing? If the league wanted to, it could look both to the Pacific Northwest and the Bay Area. That could give the conference inventory for the Saturday late-night TV time slot a fourth window. So that, to me, is entirely intentional. That's rattling the cage of the Pac-12, especially the Bay Area and Pacific Northwest. Is that just coincidence that that's exactly where she mentioned in that late-night window has been such a big topic, which, I don't think that that's coincidental. I think there's some intentionality behind that. But yeah, I mean, the Big Ten. None of us. The least surprising thing is that they struck it rich. I mean, that's been expected for a while now. Multiple networks has been expected for a while now. I do think that, not pretending to be a TV executive, those initial figures, especially when they're talking about like the hundreds of millions for just a 330 win, like something's not adding up here. Something is there's some more clarity that is needed here. I have to feel like there's just something else going on behind the scenes, and I don't necessarily mean expansion or something like that, but this just doesn't feel like it's totally settled to me.
Well, one of the things is that number. Remember now, a few weeks ago, the number was like each team was going to get over 100 million or so. Those numbers still aren't quite there. That doesn't mean they won't get there, but they did kind of like, hey, we're going to give everybody over 100 million than USC, UCLA. So let's just let this thing play out. So our friend yesterday,